All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of JavaScript's most powerful and honestly most important concepts, the function expression. Getting this down is a total game changer, not just for your code, but for absolutely crushing that next technical interview.
So, let's frame this whole thing in a situation we can all relate to. Picture this. You're in that technical interview, right? The pressure is on, and the interviewer throws you a classic question, one that's specifically designed to see how deep your JavaScript knowledge really goes.
They might lean in and ask something kind of like this. So, have you ever thought about storing a function inside a variable? You know, the same way you'd store a number or maybe a piece of text? It sounds simple, but trust me, this question opens up a whole world of concepts.
And this is not just some random trivia question they pull out of a hat, no way. Interviewers love this because your answer tells them almost instantly whether you really get how flexible and dynamic JavaScript is at its core.
Okay, so what is this big idea they're getting at? It's something called a function expression. Let's break down exactly what that means, nice and simple.
At its heart, a function expression is actually pretty straightforward. It's when you define a function, and then you assign it to a variable. That's it. Just like you'd say, let my age equals 30, you can do the exact same thing with an entire block of code, with a whole function.
Okay, check this out. This visual really shows the key difference. Over on the left, you've got your classic function declaration. This is probably what you learned first. It's got a name right there after the word function, and it gets hoisted, which is just a fancy way of saying JavaScript knows it exists before any of your code actually runs. But now, look at the right. That's our expression. See how the function itself doesn't have a name? It's anonymous. And the most important part, it's processed exactly when the code gets to that line, not a moment before.
Theory is great and all, but seeing it in action makes everything click. So let's look at a really simple code example to see how this actually works.
All right, take a look at the code here. First, we're declaring a constant, a const, and we're calling it greet. Then, we assign an anonymous function to it. This function takes one argument, name. Then, down below, we call greet just like a normal function, and pass in the string phase-on. The code inside runs, and boom, we get our output. It's so clean and so powerful. So here's the play-by-play of what's happening under the hood. Step 1, an anonymous function is created in memory. Step 2, that function gets assigned to our variable, greet. From that point on, the variable greet literally holds that function. And step 3, we can then use that variable name with parentheses at the end to invoke it, to call it, just like any other function you've ever written.
So why? Why do we even need this? Why not just stick with the good old function declarations we know and love? Well, it turns out this one concept unlocks some of the most powerful and modern patterns in all of JavaScript.
This is where the magic really happens. Function expressions are the key to writing modular, reusable code. But even more importantly, they let you pass functions around as arguments to other functions. And that is the foundation for everything from callbacks and asynchronous code to handling things like button clicks with event handlers. It's everywhere in modern code. You know, this all leads to a super famous saying in the JavaScript community: functions are first-class citizens. Honestly, when an interviewer asks you about function expressions, this is the deep understanding they're hoping you have. It just means that in JavaScript, a function isn't some weird special thing. Nope, it's just another piece of data, another value, just like a number or an object. You can store it, you can pass it around, you can return it from other functions. It's a total game changer.
So if you only remember one single thing from this entire explainer, please make it this. It really is this simple. You can store a function in a variable. That's it. That idea right there is a function expression. And if you can explain that concept clearly, you've basically unlocked everything else we've talked about today.
So with all that in mind, I'm really curious to hear from you. When you're in the zone, when you're writing your own code, do you find yourself reaching for those classic declarations, or are you a bigger fan of using expressions? Let me know. Drop your go-to style down in the comments. I'd love to see what everyone thinks.